Well, we should rise. I'm gonna pause, we should rise. Okay? Can we do that or?
I'm not opposed to it.
I'm not opposed. No, I think we should start because everyone's just.
Okay, all right.
Announce what's gonna happen.
Okay. All right, everybody, we are going to, we're going to start this meeting. When the sheriff arrives, we will take a pause, but we'll get underway so that we don't inconvenience all of you. So we'll start this meeting with a pledge. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll let the secretary note that all members of the Board of Trustees are present. And first item of business is to adopt the agenda we have in front of us. I'll take a motion for that.
I so move.
I second
Second,
it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And we have two approvals to do for our regular minutes, one from December 19th, and then another was a special meeting we held on January 11th. We have two sets of minutes to approve. Are there any changes or corrections to any of the minutes?
In the regular meeting minutes, I neglected to put down that I had prepared that, and that should be there, so I'll make that change.
All right. So we need a motion to accept that as amended.
Yep, as amended, I make that motion.
John,
Second.
second, all in favor?
Aye.
And then January 11th, special meeting minutes, any comments, corrections, or changes on that?
I make that motion.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Let me put this aside for a moment. I'm introducing tonight something that hasn't been done in the past, which is called the President's Report. So from time to time, I think there may be some things that you folks are interested in what's happening sort of behind the scenes. And so if there's a need to report on a few things, I'll do that. In the future, if things are no need to report, I won't. But I have a few tonight to bring up, and this shouldn't be any news to our trustees, but it should be news to you folks. So the first thing that I'm going to report on is that we have a couple of CDs that are maturing. Our Vice President of Finance has advised me of that, and we will be exploring the very best way to reinvest those funds when they mature. So that's something we're taking seriously. The second is, in our last meeting, if any of you were here, we had a question regarding our FOIL issues. And it was pointed out that they have gone unanswered. The answers are overdue, and that's unacceptable to this board. And we're getting our arms around the issue. Jason Hall has gathered information regarding those FOIL requests that have come in since we stopped responding to them. That is in fact the job of the library manager, and that went undone for the period of time that we did not have a manager. So we are going to try to have an intelligent discussion on this to decide how to proceed without overburdening the new library manager with responses. Is he here?
Yes.
He is. We're going to pause this meeting for the moment. In July. There's sufficient reason for he's refusing to leave, he's giving me a hard time about. He should not be here. We have been banned from the library for Christmas meeting, and banned from the library for July 8th of this year.
You still haven't explained why I'm banned. You still haven't explained it.
How
How about you read it out loud to the rest of the room? Why not? Curtis F. Jones. I have no criminal record and I have no history of violence. So I think I'm allowed to be here.
So what is this, a town hall meeting?
This is a.
Library board.
I have been quiet and just sitting here minding my own business.
What is?
What is it?
We should get on the phone with Robert. We should initiate a conversation with Robert.
Good idea.
I don't have.
Can you explain why the police were called last time I was here? Can you explain why the police were called last time I was here? Because I, don't actually remember.
I might have.
Too bad. Oh, that's interesting. Usually when people have to have things explained to them when the police are called. Because I don't remember being arrested or even having a police report filed. That seems to be missing from that letter, actually. Is when I did a crime? I'm really curious.
So it's not a crime. But they do have the right to kick you out. You can file a board of trustees or whatnot.
I'm curious what law gives them the right to party from a public meeting,
Yeah, the board of trustees.
based on what law? I would like to know the exact statute. Otherwise,
I'm not gonna give you the exact.
then what basis do you have for telling me to leave?
If they want you out, if you can get out, so it's either you can leave peacefully and be nice about it, you can file a claim on after. Or we're just gonna pocket your trespassing, I'd really rather not do that.
So you're telling me that if I do not leave right this moment, you will place me under arrest?
Yeah.
All right, then, that's fine. Have a nice evening.
I'm very disappointed in you, Josh, or severely.
Have a good night.
No, have a terrible evening.
I don't think I really did anything else right now. You come back, so. So it seems like I'm gonna do it tonight, you know, there's that reason. You guys have a good rest of your evening, all right? Yeah, you're welcome.
Sorry, folks, for the interruption. But we have some rules, we like to keep them. The president's report, yes, okay. Okay, so I talked about the FOIL issues, and like I say, this is unacceptable to us, and we will be working very hard on this. Like I said, we don't want to necessarily burden the new manager with everything right at once, but we'll do our best, and that's what I can promise you from here, okay? Second thing that's come up as we've been learning, and this is only our second meeting, it's been pretty exciting. The New York State Library retirement system requires certain people to be in positions of reporting and security. Normally, the library manager is the one who does the reporting. The president is usually the assistant, not the assistant, but the person who does the security. And for the moment, I'm holding both positions until such time as we appoint a library manager. And then we'll straighten this out and we'll have alternate people to report and alternate people to be in the security position. But for now, it's me, okay?
Can I ask what a FOIL is? I'm not familiar with that.
Freedom of Information Law, where a citizen can request records from the library that is public information, and it's our duty to respond to that
Okay.
and in a timely fashion. And we're sitting here with red faces to tell you that we haven't done that. We haven't done it in a timely fashion. We're trying to get our arms around it and make it happen as best we can at this point. Okay? All right. Second, Leslie, no writing. We had an approval back in June, in one of the previous meetings, that we're hiring a financial auditor. It's a requirement by law to have your finances audited for your fiscal year. Our fiscal year ends on June 30th. So June 30th of 2023, from July 1st of 2022, will be the period of time that was approved at one of the board meetings to hire this auditor. I've given them the go-ahead to proceed. And in very short, because again, we had this gap where the library was closed and the manager wasn't here. They're going to get up to speed as quickly as possible, and we'll have that audit a couple of months, I'm guessing. Okay, and that will be public. That will be public information once the books are audited from that fiscal year. They've made a proposal to hold the same price for the next 2 fiscal years, but I think the board would agree with me. We want to see how they perform before we decide to just award them another couple of years. Let's see what they do. That's the test. And finally, just for your information, we've been having some email issues back and forth and getting things to work properly, but finally, with some help from Sal's and some of our own doing, we've gotten it all straightened out. And all of the trustees now, you will find are listed on our website. Our emails are there. They work. If you need to get in touch with us, do it, okay? So that's it for me. And now we're gonna turn to our Vice President of Finance,
Okey-dokey.
Rosemary Gardner, and take it away.
Okay, so the first thing I'd like to go over is, are the expenses, that we're gonna be looking at paying, and some of these, trustees you'll see on the list here have already been determined to be been approved to be auto pay. But there are a couple of notes that I wanted to share with you. The first on the list is Utica National Insurance Group. That's our property insurance that covers the building, the contents, violence or crime, and also we also have an inland marine coverage on that. They do allow for partial payments throughout the year, but I'm recommending full payment of the premium tonight because this policy runs September to September, and because of circumstances, it's gone unpaid. They have not charged us any additional fees, and the policy will be due again in September. So that's why the amount listed there is $3,194.21, and I'm recommending that we pay that in full today. Green Acres, which is our snow removal and sanding, that's a pay. Our bookkeeping this time includes the fourth quarter report, in addition to regular bookkeeping. Next on the list is Whiteman, Osterman, and Hannah. That's for you folks, that's our legal services, our legal representation. And this is a doozy because of everything that's been going on over the last several months. And that amount to date is $8,032.50. That includes past due amounts. I'm recommending that be paid in full as well.
I have a question about that.
Sure.
If we vote later to
Get on retainer.
put them on retainer, then that gets
That's right.
backdated and it's not that price.
Oh, so then
Well, it's
No,
possible.
I don't think so. I think that if- when we put him on retainer, it will be start,
He agreed to a start, but that's gonna be our new business. He agreed to a start time of January 1st.
right, but
This bill
these are
is up through
previous.
December,
Yeah. this
so
is through
that's
the end
still
of
gonna be the
December.
bill. Okay,
It's always,
And there was communication issues. That's why we didn't get the bill. We haven't paid them in a very long time.
Right,
They've
a very
represented
long
us
time.
without payment for a long time. And it's
Right.
because there was a billing issue. We weren't receiving bills from them.
right. And it's our understanding, this is it, this is the total.
okay.
Yes, yeah.
That we owe them.
This is everything that we
today,
owe
okay.
up to date,
And if we
and then
do-
we should be able to start, for those folks of you, for those of you who are listening, there is an option for a flat fee that our attorney has advised us of, that would be, it's
It's
2,000.
in the area of
Yeah.
$2,000.
It's in the region of
We're
2,000
gonna talk about
flat fee per year, that we want to entertain. That's what we're talking about, doing instead. In a situation like we had this year, it would have saved the library
A lot of money.
a lot of money.
$6,000.
Yeah, 6,000 already, right? Okay, the heating oil, that's a budget plan, that's usual. Just quickly, the trustees know what this is, but not all of you do, and sometimes this is mentioned, so it's worth explaining. We have something called a JA fee, and JA stands for Joint Automation Program. It is provided by CELS. It's comprised of 6 tech wizards who service libraries in 8 counties, and they are at our beck and call 7 days a week. We've used them a lot. We need them. They help us with everything from email to setting up new equipment. So libraries pay an amount every month for that service, depending on the size of the library and the usage. And also to reassure folks, it does appear that those monies go directly to CELS and stay there. In fact, the libraries send those fees to CELS, but then they are immediately applied to a line budget for joint automation, okay? So that's there. And then we have, this just came in today and Claire was quick to get it to me, thank you. A firm called Midwest Tapes, who oversees a streaming service called Hoopla. And Hoopla is a streaming service that we just subscribed to in 2023. It's not handled by the JA fee. It offers ebooks and periodicals and video services that our library patrons access with their library cards, okay? And that went unpaid because of circumstances going on. It's also an amount that changes month to month depending on usage. And so from September until, to bring us up to current, the amount is $211.29. Okay, so you will note that there's no Spectrum bill here. In confusion, we actually paid that bill twice. So we have a credit, so there's a 0 balance for this month. And North Country Janitorial does not appear on the spreadsheet either, as that service was temporarily stopped while the library wasn't receiving traffic. We see them every 4 weeks, and the amount during the winter time, during the winter months, is $40.95 per month. We do have a credit balance of $30.95, and so when our next payment, when service resumes, which is going to be about February 15th, if all goes well, that month will just be $10.95. So all told, for what we're looking to take care of payment-wise, minus payroll, is what I'm asking the board to approve here is our expenses totaling $12,976.77, which is a high amount for a monthly report. We have some unusual circumstances here.
Any questions? Concerns? Motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
Second, okay. Okay,
Vote.
All in favor?
All in favor?
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry.
Then very quickly, this is the fun part. We have some deposits to acknowledge as well.
What's the
So first on the list, we have received the check and it's been deposited, our annual budget allowance of $190,000.
The sheriff was told
We
twice
also,
Right.
$100
because people were
donation,
not
as a
behaving. in the
memorial
audience.
gift from our board president, Ted Morzak, in front of a much-loved family member. We received a refund from state insurance fund in the amount of $342.83. And then a $30 amount from Crandall Public Library and a $25.98 amount from Corinth Free Library. Those were both for lost books. Those were payments coming in for lost books. So deposits have been made to the account between 12/18 and January 22nd in the amount of $190,498.81. Okay, next up, very quickly, to let folks know, I guess this falls within my realm. W-2 forms, there are some questions about those from former employees. To let you know, they are being prepared. Our bookkeeper says that they expect to have them out by late week, so that'll be covered, taken care of. Two more things here. Somerset Trust Company is the bank with which we had a charge card at one point, and I know there was a lot of discussion about the charge card before I became part of this elite group. I have spoken with them to make sure we were up to date regarding the status of that account, and that the cards are closed. The account has not been closed. We want to use it again, but the cards are closed. There was also a credit due us in the amount of $390, and I directed them to send that to the library to my attention. It arrived today, actually, and it'll be deposited tomorrow. And speaking of credit cards, in discussions I've had with our bookkeeper, she advises that while we've had concerns with credit cards in the past, that we have a credit card rather than a bank card, and these are her reasons. It's something certainly the board can discuss.
You can't legally, that's from Robert.
Can't legally do
You
what?
can't legally have a credit card.
Robert advised us of that. He said that he's not sure why we were doing it before, but it's
Oh,
not legal for us to do it. We're supposed to approve any spending prior to it being spent.
okay. All right, well, that makes sense. Our bookkeeper, her set of recommendations was just that there are places that you can't write checks for, like we wanted to order
For
books
sure.
on Amazon. And her concern was, I think her concern was more that we be careful with bank cards because the opportunity for those being hacked are more than for credit cards. So
Or damage.
we'll take that. I'm just not even gonna say anything else about that.
She's got great advice, but she works for a lot of municipalities, and I think things are just different because we're a library rather
Yep,
than a municipality.
That makes sense. And that was my misunderstanding. I just wanted to share with you, not realizing that her recommendation was to be careful of bank cards because they're easily hacked. That concludes, oh no, I had one more thing I wanted to share with you, and that had to do with the bill pay process. We have a really nice bill pay policy that I think Josh was responsible for at one point. There is a way, though, we can expedite a couple of things. So everything looks fine to the very last part. And this again is a conversation with Tammy, who is our bookkeeper. What has been done in the past is anything that was not an auto pay, checks would be written and come to the vice president of finance. And that person would either pick those checks up, bring them back here for signing, or they would be mailed here for signing. And she is suggesting that we can expedite that a little bit and eliminate a couple of steps and get money to our creditors and our people faster than that by doing bank checks for them, setting them in. So it would just eliminate us going to pick up a check, to pick up checks and coming back. So if the board, if you all are in agreement with that, then I can work out the fine tuning of that. I'm not familiar with exactly how it's going to work, but she says that she can make that happen without us having to drive half an hour to pick up checks, drive half an hour back and then wait while Ted and I sign them and then mail them to folks. There's now, and since all the quirks of past conflicts are settled, this might be a better way to do it.
So the reason we didn't do it in the past is because of that check afterward. We're talking about checking checks. but the check comes in and we check the check to make sure that the amounts are accurate.
Mhm.
So that would take that away. You could always look at the stub, and if there was an error, you could go back on the stub, and that's what I've always said. I think it's a good idea.
Okay, good. That's what she said too. That
It's almost an instant,
it is.
you know,
And
instead
people
of,
don't have to wait for their money
Right.
and
and it's not like we can't look at the stub and
Exactly.
fix any issues.
Yeah.
And there's no additional cost to do it this way.
no,
So that, it's a no-brainer.
yeah, it's, okay. Then
So
I
we
will
need
advise
to
her, we'll go.
prove that, or are we?
Well, maybe because we
You
did have
probably
a
did.
policy.
You probably have
We
to.
had a policy that y'all had voted on.
I think it's just a procedure. It's not necessarily a policy, so
Yeah,
you're
it
not
does say procedure.
as bound, but, yeah, I think it's good to vote on it and just make
Sure.
sure.
Okay,
Yeah, so you're making a motion that we change it?
You're gonna amend it, right?
yes.
Thank
I'm
you.
moving that we amend the bill paying procedure to allow our bookkeeping service to send payment directly to the creditors.
Okay, I second that motion.
Okay?
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay,
That concludes the Vice President of Finance's
thank
report.
Do you have
very
that
much.
file where you can make edits to that file?
I will.
Okay,
I need to get the password for.
Okay,
okay.
all right.
I mean, on that actual procedure.
Oh, no, I don't. No, I don't.
Okay, you tell me what you wanted to say and I can just
Okay.
make it work.
Okay, we have a secretary's report?
We have no secretary.
No
report.
secretary's report, okay? We'll go to old business. Just two things to report on in terms of old business tonight. One is the status of the library manager's search. So we have reviewed the submissions and resumes of all the candidates that submitted for the job. We've narrowed those down for various reasons. And tonight, we are going to go into executive session to discuss the hiring of a manager. That must be done in executive session. We're gonna talk about personal things and the process, et cetera, et cetera. I do not expect, when we leave that executive session tonight, that we will come out and say, hooray, we've got a manager, okay? It's gonna take a little bit of process to make that happen, but we're moving as fast as we can at this point. And tonight should push us even further down the road on that. So anybody else concerned at this point, we will be going into executive session for that. Okay, second one in the old business was just a quick discussion about restarting our strategic planning committee. Now, strategic planning work is required, and as I understood it, getting up to speed, it's a 5-year plan. But for us, they said, hold off, make it a 3-year plan. We had a strategic planning committee that the library manager was a part of. She left. The committee stopped at that point and has not restarted. It's my belief and suggestion, unless there's feelings otherwise, once we get a library manager in place, we restart that strategic planning process. And there are guidelines in terms of how one goes about that. There is some work that has been done. I don't think it was a significant amount of work.
Yeah,
we
if
were
I,
on that
yeah,
committee.
if I may.
You will.
Yes, there are options for any library to proceed with the strategic plan on either a 3-year plan or a 5-year plan. So we were not advised by SALS or anyone else to do a 3-year versus a 5-year. It was actually the feeling of the people who were volunteering at the time and the library manager that we had at the time, that because things were in turmoil, a 3-year plan might be an easier task at that point. We do have, I was working with some folks then, we were all kind of working together. I have voiced my willingness to head that committee again, to work with those people. And 2 of the members who worked before, I've contacted them, they are willing to serve again on that committee. So we do have 3 people at this point. With the library manager, that's 4. And once I think we get moving, we may find that there's room for other people to join in. There's plenty of work. A strategic plan is not something that's done quickly. It's a process. It takes many months to accomplish. A plan is the result of reaching out to all the constituents and all of the constituent groups in our library service area. So things like Lions clubs and youth groups and schools and all kinds of everybody who may be have an investment in the library is contacted. And what we're looking for in strategic plan is how the library may best serve its patrons, and those ideas often come from the patrons. And basically, that's what the strategic plan, it's a fancy name for a lot of surveying, and then putting that into a mission and into a plan for services over the next 3 years.
Now, would it make sense to, once we have the library manager appointed, to go ahead at that time and reconstitute the committee, name the members, and see if there's
Yes.
anyone else interested in it? We don't need to do that tonight unless someone feels.
No, I thought it was a good idea to let everyone know, the community know that, that it isn't a totally defunct, in a totally defunct state. There are people ready to go, once we have a library manager and.
We've chosen to follow the process we're following because, I forgot her name. Do you remember her name from Sal's? She came up with this
Erica?
process. Erica, it's her process that we're using right now. It's not necessarily the process we have to follow. There is a deadline and we're gonna miss the deadline. So we have to consider whether that is,
Well, there's
whether they're gonna let
the
us do that.
opportunity for a variance because of the circumstances we have. And a strategic plan is a requirement.
The plan is, not the process we're going through necessarily.
No, but that's how it is often done that way.
Oh, yes.
It's
Yep.
often,
The
that's,
plan is required,
Right.
yes,
the
correct.
plan is required, by the state. So, we can look at, once we're at go, we could look at how we go about gathering our information, if that's what you're.
Well, I think you're
Not
worried about
necessarily,
the
I think it's
deadline.
extremely time consuming. I expressed this when I
They
first heard
always
about it.
are.
This is extremely time consuming and it might be better to, streamline it a little bit and make it work better for us. We don't necessarily need to fit exactly the way Erica says to do it because it's her process. That was my only thought. And then I think that it's incumbent upon us. I think one of the things that we neglected to do with the previous strategic planning committee, and I think it caused friction, is outline what we expect and what we're looking for as a board. I don't think we did that. I think we let Erica take the lead, and I think it led to some confusion. And I think we said, hey, this is what we're looking for. These are the limitations. This is what your actual role you'll be playing, and that kind of thing. I think clarity is a good thing.
I think clarity is a good thing too. We do have some guidelines that we can look to for guidance that come to us from the State Board of Regents, which is our governing body, and we have to abide by those. Not saying at all that we can't get our information some easier
Sure.
way, perhaps. That I'm totally open to that idea. And strategic plans, they are, townships have to do them. They're time consuming for those folks. I know my husband sat on one and it's several months. It's not something that's done in a few weeks. So by their very nature, by what they are time consuming. The idea is to gather information as much as you can with as many groups as you can. And so it usually does take a little time. I'm totally open, and I hear what you're saying about, we can look at the
Sure.
process. The mandate is clear though, that we,
Now, do
we have that
do we need to formally get a variance from that requirement to submit, and do we have it?
yes, just like we were concerned about variances for budget, we're out of compliance now because we don't have a library manager. Under the charter, we need to have a library manager in place. So technically, we're out of compliance through no fault of our own. And so there are variances that are available to deal with those. We need to, this board this is our second meeting. So Sal's has given us a little room to decide what we need a variance for. But yeah, that's the
Okay,
next.
but we don't actually have a document that says we've been allowed to, so we need to do that.
Yep.
Okay, all right, I think that's a good subject for another meeting when we have more information. Fair? Okay. All right, thank you. Now we want to go on to new business. We have a couple items of new business, and then we'll get to public comment. The first is a key policy. When I first came on board, I discovered that we actually don't have a policy relevant to who should have keys to what here in the library. And just for everybody's information, there are 10 copies in existence of a key to the library building. There's 1 copy in existence to the mail post office box. I'm not sure how many copies are in existence to that red file cabinet over there. I think there's 2. That is meant to be for the storing of records of the board. minutes and other things that would be important to have, like the letter we needed tonight, which we couldn't put our hands on. And then we think we think we know there are also keys, 6 keys to the office manager's office, the interior office. So the real question for us is, who should have a key to the building, the box, the red file cabinet, and so on? I can make some suggestions if you'd like. But I'm open to.
Go.
Okay, so I think for sure, in the library itself, I need one. Okay, the library manager obviously should have a key. And I think we need to have a discussion as to whether all of the other staff have keys. Did they all have keys in the past?
Not all of them, but it was in the past, the library director had a copy and at least one of the other staff members had keys in.
Okay, so that is something, you know, I think we need enough keys for myself and for those folks. Should anyone else on the board have it? Now, my concern is, we need to get somebody down here in a hurry because the building's burning or there's somebody broke in or whatever. I know you're the closest, right?
The alarm system is an issue.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
So we need somebody close by.
If
who
you
can
gotta
come in for
mess
the
with
alarm.
that.
Yeah,
Would it be inappropriate then to have a person closer by with a key? I mean, do you have a concern for that, Josh, or would you?
I don't have a key. I don't have an objection. For the longest time, I didn't have a key. I didn't want a key, but we've always been offered a key, the entire board.
Okay.
It was just recently when Kathleen Jones resigned that I got a key, and
Okay.
I give you that key. So I have no problem having a key. Maybe, I think maybe like a procedure similar to what we had for bill paying is probably best for this one. And then, maybe with the staff, maybe leave it up to the library manager, let him
Okay.
make that call, not
Okay.
put anything in black and white.
We can take advice from the new manager.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
like it.
There should be a log though, of who has what
Absolutely.
key.
Most
So
certainly.
we're gonna have a spreadsheet and actually who signed out to what when we get this nailed down. The other person that has a key is Teddy Walker. She comes in out of hours to clean. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, so that's important. And then the Southern Adirondack Library System has 2 copies of our key. Now, one of them, because they do the interlibrary loan, is that right? And out of hours, that person may arrive, dump something off here and leave. Does that happen?
That is
Or-
correct.
And that's what, but why do they need 2?
They simply stated that they needed another copy for record keeping.
I'll talk to them.
yeah. Another thought, everyone, too, is North Country Janitorial, who does they do our rugs. Their route brings them here about 8 or 8:30 in the morning. So when I spoke to them about resuming service, that is one of the things that they mentioned too, either to provide them with a key or have someone available to let them in. So,
I think probably giving them the key would be normal practice. That would make sense. Okay.
so that's another
Alright.
person who would.
So when we smoke it all out and we know who all gets keys, we may have some extras. And then those extra keys, and my suggestion would be we put them in the red cabinet and we keep track of them. on
I
that basis.
think we need to find a better home for the red cabinet, but yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
Should be a log.
That's for the library.
I agree, John.
Now, the mail box, you only have 1 key to the mailbox
At this time.
at this moment. And the mail is picked up generally by either you or one of the other staff on a regular basis. Would it be important to have another key to that box somewhere, just in case, for someone else? I don't
I don't
know.
know if you can make copies.
You
I know
can.
the post office, you can make.
Claire checked into it today for me, and you can get a key for $15 or $17, depending on the size of your
We
box.
weren't
I
certain.
wasn't quite sure.
It's an expensive key.
You could. So I'm just thinking, you know, as a good practice, maybe, again, keep control of that key.
Yeah.
And in the event that the person that normally goes there to get it is sick or somehow
Right,
that. we
We
found.
have access.
That makes sense? Okay. Red file cabinet. I think Maggie definitely needs a key to that, keeping the records. I would have one. Do any of you want to have access?
When I was VP of Finance, I was the person that was given the key,
Okay,
not the secretary, so I think maybe Marie should have it too. So the secretary, president, and VP of
3,
Finance.
okay. And then finally, on the internal office manager's key. I think we can, again, perhaps leave that up to the manager, but we should also have a key. So if for some reason we get in a big fight and the manager walks off in a huff again, we gotta be able to get in there.
What's that for the office?
For the office.
Yeah, again, and I think we keep it in there. Okay, so, I'm willing to take a crack at
Bringing that up.
yeah, writing this up as a policy, and then we'll introduce it at the next meeting as for formal
Yeah.
approach.
Sounds great.
Work, okay, we'll do that. Second thing I had on the agenda, and I'm not sure we're in a position to discuss it tonight, but Josh, you ran into a problem with the alarm,
Yep.
having the wrong codes, and then finding out that there were people from way back that were authorized to make changes on that. How do we go about contacting them at this point and authorizing who should be able to do that?
So I think we just need to verify with them that we are the board, and it'd probably be a communication from you, maybe something signed from all of us, and just name all of the authorized individuals to make the call and talk to them. And then the issue I had was I had the wrong code.
Yeah.
So I think that it's good to change the code, number one, and then definitely change the authorized people, because the two people that are authorized right now are no longer with the library in any way.
What offices were they?
What do you mean?
Was it the president, was it who could make those changes before? By office, not by person? Do you remember?
I think that the library manager made most of those kind of calls.
Library manager?
So I think if we as a board, I told them I would be in contact with them again to
Okay,
make sure that they get accurate info. I apologize for the situation.
so library manager should be able to make those changes,
And the president,
and any member of the board?
I don't think any member,
Okay,
I think
I
probably
think
just
the
the
president.
thanks. Okay,
Just the more
yeah,
access, like, it,
clearly,
exchange, things happen, but the president,
Yep.
and one of the duties when the president would leave would be to relinquish all that stuff to the next
all
president.
right,
And that way you don't have
don't worry about
5 different people to
That's right.
cycle that through
it.
with.
Excellent.
Just really quick, if you say Josh,
Do it.
because that's Josh would have it too. So.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that. So we just want the person, any person with the key needs to be a person authorized to call and talk to
Yes.
Yes.
Mahoney. Because
Okay,
I wasn't an authorized person, but they were nice enough to look online. They looked at newspaper articles, obviously, and they saw, hey, this guy is a board member.
But that's different than being able to change
Mhm.
the.
Yes,
The code.
so both of those
That's what we were
things.
talking about right now, is changing the code.
Okay,
Rather than answering the code.
so I think we need to update.
Whoever
both
has
those
a
things, yeah.
key needs to be able to clear the code. The other two people, the manager and the president, need to be the only ones that can change. the
For sure,
code.
I agree with that, yeah.
well, and if you have a key, you'll be given the code,
You have
and you just punch it in, they
authorization,
don't even know who you are, I mean, that doesn't, I don't think.
If you mess up and
Well,
so
and you had to call them, yeah,
you have to call them, but there's usually like a password and
all right, so
There
can we,
is a password, I don't know what
can we
it is.
work together then to?
Absolutely.
Okay, so should we vote on that, are you comfortable with what we said, shall we put it in the form of motion?
We could put it on paper, I can put it on
Yeah.
paper, and then we
Alright.
can vote on it at the next meeting.
Let's do that. All right, moving right along,
well, if we do that though, are we still gonna work towards getting that changed between now and then so that we're not going another month without having?
Let's
change?
vote tonight on, I make a motion to vote on changing the authorized individuals on the account to Ted, and maybe only Ted right now. And then,
okay,
we make sure that everyone has the password that's necessary.
Yep.
And, we can change the code maybe after the next meeting, but that has to be done within the next couple of months.
Mhm.
But changing the authorized person to Ted, taking the two people that are on there right now off
Yeah.
the
Yes.
account.
yeah, absolutely,
So I make that motion.
A second.
okay, any further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, done. Okay, this is our retainer agreement. So you heard Bree tell us earlier that all the calls and back and forth that we've been doing with the attorneys have cost us like about $8,000. Typically, in my experience, organizations like ours put an attorney's firm on retainer. And that retainer provides for us to be able to call on an occasional basis, get information. They will come to meetings. There will be other things that we will do that are just routine. And that's all covered under a retainer agreement. And I had sent this to everybody. I think you all got a copy of this. And basically, bottom line, the attorney firm that we deal with now is offering to put us on a retainer for $2,000 a year. Kind of a no-brainer as far as I can say. So unless there's further discussion or a need to, I've read this agreement fairly thoroughly, and it does make a provision for us to call them up, get some answers, get some speculation. They'll do a little research, they'll come to a meeting. All that will be on retainer. And in the conversations I've had with the attorney to date, they will backdate this retainer to the 1st of January of this year. So somebody.
I make a motion that we accept the retainer for the attorney and go to retainer rather than pay per call.
A second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, done. We also have, it came up last week, you all out there know this, we had to cancel the meeting, or postpone the meeting. We didn't have a policy really on how to do that, so I did it. Because I'm doing a lot of stuff now. So basically, Josh has prepared for us, which every trustee has a policy dealing with how we will make those decisions. President basically will be holding the primary responsibility for deciding. You can beat on me if we postpone or modify. We assess the weather conditions, and last time, for example, the school closed their after-school activities, made awful sense for us not to bring people out. We're interested in safety. And we would communicate this decision to everybody on the board to make sure that it gets on the website promptly and people know, so nobody's showing up unnecessarily. And then finally, if we do decide to postpone and reschedule the meeting, I would contact everybody and find out the next most convenient day to do it. I know I just arbitrarily picked the next Tuesday. That wasn't necessarily, this is today, wasn't necessarily the best. Josh had to make, Jason had to make special arrangements to be here, which, thank you. So you all have gotten a copy of this. Do you see anything in there that needs to be modified, changed, or otherwise?
Yes, one thing I just modify is that we don't automatically close when the school closes,
Right.
because there may be times that we have a safe place for kids to go when school is closed. And I mean, unless the roads are really impassable, it might just be something that we want to consider closing. So instead of saying automatically, I'm sorry, Josh, just say that we would consider closing if the school's closed.
This doesn't say automatic, it just says.
Yeah, it says
communicate.
it says we will promptly follow suit and be closed.
Yeah, the intention of it was to say it's automatic. So this is just because we were having conversation via email. So I just wanted to reflect what everyone was saying. It's not necessarily how I even think it should be. But one of the points of conversation that we've had is that the thought process was when the school's closed, maybe the kids want to come hang here, and this is a good place for them to hang out. So maybe if we just leave this entire top portion to the manager to decide and make that call of what they think is best. And then if we think, hey, manager, you're making some shady calls here, shoddy calls as far as people coming into the library with, crazy road conditions or something, and for the most part, if Stewart's is open, why couldn't we be open? But that I think maybe leave it up to the manager, and we specifically make this a procedure, not even necessarily a guideline that's consistent with the wording we've used, and just keep the bottom portion.
And eliminate those top two paragraphs?
Yeah, I think. What do you guys think?
I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It was just, it was a thought that, when we're having trouble, making a decision, when the school said it's too dangerous for the buses to run and people to be out and sports to be running at 5 or 5:30, then it followed that it might be dangerous for our people to be traveling at 6. That was
Yeah.
my only consideration. I mean,
Well,
maybe we
that's
can
fine
leave
for
it
me.
as a consideration, a contributing factor. It doesn't have to be, would that be okay, Maggie? Does that?
Well, so Josh, what you're suggesting is we don't even deal with regular library hours. We
We
just
just leave
pass a thing about
Right.
when we change board meetings. And
We-
this we can leave up to the manager.
We can leave up to the manager, maybe put terminology in there to say it's up to the manager, so the manager knows that it's not inappropriate to close the library
Yeah.
if it's inclement weather.
Okay, so you're talking, there's two things I'm thinking about. One is closing the library when the library is already open and sending everybody home early. what about the situation where the library is due to be open and we don't open it that day? Like there's a school closing that day, so they're kind of two.
I think both of those things should be up to the manager.
Yeah. I would agree.
You do?
I do.
No.
And like Josh said, if the manager starts making bad calls, the manager works for us.
Well, I don't think we should say it's up to the manager, and
Well-
we'll override if we don't like it. That doesn't make any sense.
Well,
If you wanna
yeah.
have
Okay. Wordsmith?
Maybe we
I
just
guess
talk
that-
about the meetings for a second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, that probably, Josh, what you're saying makes it, when I'm thinking about it in a school situation, it's not the board who makes that decision,
Right, right.
it's the school superintendent, so. I
So
see
maybe
what-
all we need to do right now is just have the
Adopt the
word,
bottom
the bottom part, and
Okay.
we can deal with this other part later.
So,
Right, we can have a conversation, make sure that they know we're comfortable with that.
Right, and if we need a procedure, we can do that
So
later.
we could probably vote on the bottom portion. I could just take out that top and send it over.
okay.
What do you guys think? Any changes with the bottom?
Comfortable with that.
The bottom portion is just when we would postpone a meeting.
Board of Trustees, exactly.
Pretty much says the president can do it and talks about, what he's gonna look at as far as,
Assessing whether who to talk
Information.
to and so on, yeah. That made pretty much sense to me, that bottom.
And it
part. I wasn't
includes
sure.
that the decision to cancel or postpone a board meeting would be promptly posted on the website.
Oh, yeah.
So that
did
all
that.
of you would know it too.
Yeah, I don't think there's any other vehicle by which we can do that. I think it's basically our website. So before you come out on a nasty night, check the website. All right, any further changes? to
Facebook too.
Facebook?
Once we get-
Oh, so maybe we should add,
A lot of people look at Facebook.
so why don't we add that too? So Rockwell Falls Public Library website and Facebook
And
page.
Facebook.
And then usually some libraries put it on news channel, whatever, on their like closing list, if they have like a meeting or something, you can call one of the stations.
Yeah, there might be a way to do that. Yeah, yeah.
Because I know that's how Crandall does it in Prentice, if they close it all or they cancel meetings or programs, they do it through the news stations.
so we can look into that and we probably don't need to have it on the procedure to do that. I think that's a good idea.
Mhm.
But let's add library Facebook page to the actual procedure.
Yep.
Prior to voting.
Okay. Any further changes, comments? Pretty comfortable?
I like it.
Motion to pass this as the inclement weather guideline?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second? Okay. Further discussion? No? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Done. Last thing for new business, and that is, issue regarding training. Trustees are required to get 2-hour trustee education training every year. And my guess is we make that the fiscal year, which we're still in for this year. The three of us, because we were new, got a Zoom thing with the state library people. Josh and Jason could go in and do that if you wanted an extra hour. But at the same time, we've been offered to participate with SALS in training that they will provide us. And if we suggest various topics and also a time, they'll be very accommodating to that. So unless you have an objection, I would like to work offline in terms of trying to coordinate timing for that. And it's
For the
just,
training.
is important, yeah.
Sal's
And,
also sent us an email today about online training.
I know, I saw that.
Okay.
And yeah, this is what's printed out right here.
Okay.
And it can be done online, the thing, or Sarah has offered to host us at SALS itself for a dinner and training and whatever. Let's see where that
I'm
goes,
fine either way,
either way.
as long as I don't have to work, I'm good. If it's in the evening, I'm good.
In evenings, yeah,
Yeah.
sure, even, no, it would definitely be evenings, I mean, we understand that.
Previously, I just picked off their website and watched their training videos.
You can
and I
do
used
that.
Yeah,
Sure.
so I think we have multiple options. I'm not opposed to what you're saying.
Okay, so obviously the thing is, and then if you have any suggestions for the kinds of things you think we need to hear, let me know, and I'll get that on their docket. That's one aspect of training. The other aspect of training is sexual harassment training. That's a state requirement that we, I don't think have been meeting. I don't think we had sexual harassment training here in the past that I'm aware of. You're agreeing with.
I haven't taken sexual
Okay,
harassment
so.
training here.
I have a state job, so I do that.
You
every
do that.
year, So I've already done.
Okay, and then you can attain that, there's just, that you've done it. But here's the thing, if we would like the trustees to be able to do it, we can do it online through the company that hosts it for Sal's. And it costs money. It's $17 a person to do that. I looked into whether or not we could piggyback on the school, because the school does a regular sexual harassment training. They wanted $40 a person. Seems to me, we ought to just partner with the salespeople and go online and get that from them, anybody who has not had it. I think you can self-attest to it because you've done it.
I probably
Yeah.
have a,
I'm pretty sure. I don't know if my,
Yeah.
if my training with the planning board and the town qualifies, I'll look into it. But for you three folks, we'll do that. So I would advise them, if it's okay with you, we'll approve using the cells, and I don't know what they're called, but they're a company that provides this service for the sexual harassment training for those of us that need it.
That's fine.
Make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All right, I move that we do that.
A second.
okay.
Okay. All in favor?
Okay.
All right, very good, thank you very much. That concludes the regular items on our agenda. We now allow some time for public comment. We're gonna continue to do that, just a minute. We ask that you come up, tell us who you are. We try to give preference to folks that are members of the Hadley Luzerne School District, because you pay your taxes and that helps us. We'll give time to anyone else. Couple of minutes apiece, please address the board. If, same as I said last time, if it's a simple thing and we can answer the question right tonight, we'll try to do that. If it's not, then my commitment is we'll take it under advisement and we will get back to you one way or the other. Fair enough? Okay, so I need a timer. Somebody has to time this.
All right.
Do you have you got a cell phone? Okay. So, and we'd like you to respect that 2 minutes so everybody has a chance, but I don't think we're gonna be burdened this evening, or at least it doesn't seem like it, but let's go for it. Man.
I just want to say, I think you guys are great.
We'll take it. So far. They didn't tell us who you were.
You didn't say who you were.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm April Lee. Wait, who's that?
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else want to comment publicly at this point? Please come up.
My name is Jade Eddy. I'm a resident in the area. My question is, I've heard no mention of the patron code of conduct. Is that still on the table to be something that is being created?
I'm not familiar with that. And I don't think it's something that's in our policies per se.
Yeah, so
I
it
heard-
was brought up to be
It was brought up,
creating
okay.
something and then it got dropped.
That's right, okay. I guess that's something we'll have to do a little research on. I can't answer your question tonight.
Follow-up question leading, related to that. After the altercation here with Pete Brady, has anything been done about that?
That wasn't Pete Brady.
No, that wasn't
Oh.
Previous.
Pete Brady physically assaulted people a few meetings ago.
Yeah, Pete Brady is as I understand it from the records, public record, is on a ban, but only for 1 week when the library reopens.
May I ask why somebody who physically escalates things has a far less ban than somebody who verbally escalates things?
These 4 people were not here before, so it's kind of hard for us to answer that off the top of our heads, but we certainly can research it.
That's why I think
Yeah.
that there needs to be a conversation about a patron code of conduct, because that is significantly not okay
Yeah.
in my book, and I'm sure everybody
We might have-
agrees that physical violence should be harsher.
Unacceptable.
harsher punishment than verbal.
Unacceptable.
And I'm not condoning the behavior of either person.
Yeah.
But I do think that physical violence should be taken care of at a higher priority than verbal.
Okay, thank you. We will definitely take that into consideration. Thank you. Yes, sir.
I'm Dan Levy, I live with April Levy. And just a simple question on the search that you have now and are pursuing. Would the board care to reveal how many applications there were and how many people are still left in the search?
At this point, I think we would like not to do that, just in terms of tipping anything off to the candidates.
Okay.
But I think we'll have a discussion about how much of that to reveal when we have made a final
Sure.
decision. Is that fair?
Yep.
Okay, that's what we'll do. Okay, yes, ma'am.
Laurel Blanche Luzerne. I was wondering.
I'm sorry, what was your
Not to
name?
come up today. Laurel Blanche. I was wondering, was the January 11th meeting posted, because I hadn't seen it anywhere.
It was on the web. It was done, we called that meeting, I think 3-4 days in
It was
advance.
an emergency.
Yeah,
It was a
it was-
Yeah, it was a
meeting.
special meeting.
Okay, because I wasn't sure you mentioned January, well, wait a minute. It's a Thursday, I'm used to Tuesdays, and then I was trying to look back.
Oh,
Yeah.
It was on the board, but it was
Yeah.
a special meeting.
It was
to discuss
done in
the
an emergency, it wasn't
applications.
pre-planned weeks ahead, it was. we
Okay,
needed
yeah,
to
I know
do
you
it
guys
right
had
now,
mentioned it the meeting prior to
Right.
that.
So.
And then with the security code, I don't know if this security company can, but I worked with a place one time that gave each individual a certain code and they had a record. But you could, that way you know who's coming in, no matter who it is, they have their own, it's just like one extra digit or one different digit at least. Then if something happens,
you know who was there.
who was there last. So I don't know if you wanna look into that, I
That's a
don't
great
remember.
idea. It is a good
who
idea.
We don't have it right now. We do not have
Yeah,
it.
I don't remember what security system they used in my job, but everyone had like one digit off, where you
Okay.
could see
Okay.
who
Okay.
it was that was in there last.
I think
So
we'll take that under
everybody-
advisement. I think, this whole business of who is going to, have access and be able to make changes and that's all part of this discussion and that's a
I
good
just
point.
didn't know if you guys knew.
Yep.
I knew a company that did it, I just don't.
Okay,
Great
Thank you.
suggestion.
Thank you.
all right.
Right.
Anything? Yes, sir.
Hi, Mike Corwan, I also think you guys are doing a good job and thank you.
Thank you.
I have one comment on the talk about the strategic planning committee. And, using the word limitations, setting limitations on that. I think probably setting limitations is a bad idea. I think that a strategic planning committee should be allowed the broadest possible, discretion for coming up with whatever their strategic plan is. And then, of course, the board has the opportunity afterwards to
Sure.
look at the strategic plan and adjust it. But I think the idea of putting limitations on it beforehand is probably not a great idea.
I think we're talking about time limits.
Well, I was also thinking that we were talking about expectations, not necessarily
Yeah,
limitations.
could you explain what you mean by limitations? Obviously, you
I
heard
don't know,
something.
you used the word
Was it me?
limitations, and I don't know what that referred to.
So, expectations, what the board
I thought that's
expects of
what
the
you said, expectations
committee.
was what I heard.
What we had in the previous situation was that Erica kind of communicated everything, and the board had a different feeling of what was expected of the planning committee than what the planning committee had. And so we need to compensate the two and make sure we're all on the same page. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
There's no limitations.
And,
No limitations.
and we should be able to have a really nice, working relationship now because I was involved in that and I'm on the board, so.
For sure.
The board will be working together, the committee and the board together, so we can
All right, well,
patch that up.
I
That's,
apologize.
Okay.
no, that's great, thank you for
Thank you.
sharing.
That's it?
Can I just-
I'll give you one more minute.
Me and Jane both record Facebook Live, and I brought it up, Josh was on the board, I don't know if you were on the board at one time. If you guys have an old phone or something that you can record and be live on whatever.
That's
So
what
when,
this
Right
is.
now.
so when stuff.
This
like
is live
that-
right now.
That's what this is.
But is it on Face?
No, no,
It's
No,
Zoom.
it's on Zoom.
You can log in.
Because then you can go back and look at what he was saying.
Yeah.
So this will be saved.
But
in
it's the same
way.
thing.
Okay.
Just
and then
different
will-
platform.
Where will it be posted
On the website.
after?
On the website, it's a recording of the meeting.
Okay.
There'll be a link to a YouTube video.
Takes a couple,
Okay.
it takes a couple days, Claire, doesn't it, to get that
How
on? Yeah,
long does it usually take?
couple days.
I have small messages.
Yeah. Okay,
It takes a couple of days to.
All right. that's good. Thank you. Okay, so now the next meeting is, snow permitting, will be the third Tuesday in February. That's the 20th, 2/20 here. And now what's gonna happen is, the board is gonna go into executive session. I will be making that motion in a moment. And basically, we're gonna be discussing candidates, hiring, all those things that we said before. When we come out of executive session, the only thing we're gonna do is adjourn this public meeting. So you're welcome to stay around to hear that, but
It'd be really boring.
I would. So I'm moving at this point, I move that the board goes into executive session for the purpose of discussing library manager candidates and potential hires.
A second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We will be back.